Hello, LA Opera family. Welcome to the second edition of Bravo Live. My name is Wilma Freeman, and I am on the board of directors for the African Americans LA Opera. Today, we will be bringing you insights of what goes on behind the scenes of a stage production at the LA Opera. We will be hearing from community volunteers Larry Verdugo and Lynne Mitchell. We will also be hearing from Lisa Kable Blanchard, LA Opera's stage manager. And they will be sharing how volunteers can get involved in the production of a spectacular opera. I have served as a volunteer for many years with the LA Opera, and what a privilege it has been. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy this edition of Bravo Live.
Hi, everyone. This is Larry Verdugo. I'm a volunteer coordinator and community educator for Opera League and for LA Opera itself. Today, we're here to speak with one of our wonderful volunteers who do so much for the opera as well as for the league itself. We're going to begin with Lynne Mitchell.
Hi, Larry. It's good to see you today.
Good to see you.
I've missed you.
As have we all. Well, today I want to get together and speak with you directly about your experience and where you come from, so we get to know you a little bit more. How did you become involved with the Opera League?
I'm a lifelong volunteer, and I was looking for some place to develop a new passion. I'd been a school teacher. I'd even taken my class to see Magic Flute at the Shrine Auditorium. But I loved looking at it, but I had no idea what was going on. And also, when I was a child, I'd been to see Marriage of Figaro without super titles. I had no idea what was going on. So when I was asked in the very early days of the opera and the Opera League to bring food to a cast dinner, I jumped at the chance. And I was fascinated. These people were eating in makeup and wigs. We were in the green room. The orchestra was walking by. It was very exciting. And most of all, I enjoyed the other volunteers. They are intelligent, they're cheery, they're friendly. And I thought, I have to find out more about this group. My next experience was unloading thousands of children from school buses in the middle of the street. We flagged them down and brought these students into the Dorothy Chandler. Bear in mind, this again was an early opera experience, and there was only one woman, Llewellyn Crane, and a part-time assistant. So volunteers were critical. Well, let me tell you, I looked and looked to see where I could join this group of intrepid volunteers. And here I am 30 years later.
That's wonderful, wonderful. But in your time, it sounds like you had a lot of different experiences with the league. There's so many activities, but you finally settled on one particular, didn't you?
I sure did. I did everything I could sign up for at first. Finally, I was called to be a very special volunteer and light walk. One of our early Opera League volunteers was Wendy Darby. She volunteered every day at the office. When they needed something new done, they'd ask Wendy to arrange it. She needed to find light walkers. We stand on the stage and take the place of a singer while the lighting director is adjusting all those lights during the lighting rehearsals. I was thrilled when Wendy called me. We have grown so much. All of this used to be done by telephone, and the office operated by telephone. And now we just send out emails day and night. Light walking only takes a few people at a time. They're dedicated, they're strong. Light walkers stand, sit down, kneel, lie down, recline, whatever's asked. We even go up on the balconies, sometimes up on platforms. We can see what the prompter's box looks like. We can see out into the auditorium. We see the lights being adjusted. We see backstage. At the time that we're light walking, they're setting up the props, they're touching up the paint, they're dusting, mopping. It's a real wonderful inside experience.
So you're more or less a stand-in until the stars come in.
Except we can't sing. Oh, I want to sing when I'm standing there and looking way up into the balconies. One time the orchestra was even rehearsing, and then I was really tempted to sing.
Very good. And you have someone with us today who's more involved with light walking, don't you?
Oh, yes, I'm strictly a volunteer. However, today we invited an expert to join us, someone that all the light walkers really enjoy and learn from, Lisa Kable Blanchard. Hey, it's great to see you. It's been
Hi,
way
Lynn.
too
Hi,
long.
Larry. How are
Hi,
you?
Lisa.
I don't think we've seen you since April,
Yeah,
a year ago.
it's really wonderful.
Lisa, just to get started, why don't you give us a little bit description of your title and maybe some early experiences so we know exactly how you fit into all of this?
Absolutely. I started as an assistant stage manager with Los Angeles Opera 20 seasons ago. My first show at the opera was The Queen of Spades, Tchaikovsky, starring Placido Domingo 20 years ago. And I have worked in many different capacities within the production department at the opera. I've been an assistant stage manager. I've been the calling stage manager. I've been an assistant director. And I just love it. I mean, there is nothing like life on stage and backstage. And to Lynn's point, I mean, it is just so incredible to see the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion from the stage, whether you're a performer or not a performer, a light walker, a stage manager. It's a beautiful, incredible experience.
Lisa,
Wonderful.
can you tell us a little about what the job of stage manager or assistant stage manager are?
For every show at the Dorothy Chandler, we have a team of stage managers, and our job is to be in rehearsals with the singers and the director and translate what we're doing in the room onto the stage, because we can't take the entire crew with us into the room. So we create paperwork that explains to the crew what we've discovered in the room with the singers and the director about how we want each show to go. And so when we arrive at stage, that's basically the job of our team of stage managers, is to do that translation and explain and figure out with the crew how we're going to make all this stuff work.
How do you communicate with them?
Well, we wear headsets and we talk to each other and talk to the crew, and they have squawk boxes throughout the Dorothy Chandler so that they can always hear the stage manager, know when their cues are coming up. They get warnings to make sure that they're in the right place at the right time. We run around and find them and make sure that we have all the right people that we need to do to execute, whether it be a series of rail cues, which is the pieces that fly in, or deck cues, which is giant pieces of scenery moving around. And that, all of that has to be carefully choreographed so that when you add in the singers and the chorus and everyone else involved with the production, everybody's safe and everything goes smoothly. So it's the magic of theater and not just a mess.
I've seen you with your notebook and your clipboard, and it looks to me like you're reading music.
Oh, yes. At the opera, that's a must. We all have scores backstage. Depending upon the show, we're either following the score very carefully to make sure our cues are exactly in the right place in the music, or sometimes we put the score onto a music stand for a moment and run around and call our cues to make sure everything is going where it needs to go. Because sometimes you got to run.
Yeah. I'd like to hear more about your interactions with the light walkers.
Absolutely. Lynne and I have worked together on the stage now for many years, and I cannot say enough good things. We, as stage managers, spend many, many hours lighting each show. And having people to stand in the right position, wearing the right colors. Lynne always organizes people when we have really festive shows that have a lot of color. They come in with all sorts of different color choices so that we can swap things out. Sometimes, I will say when I call in, I'm like, okay, well, this show, we need some reds and some blues. And all of her people come in ready to go. They can swap things out, but it's really so helpful because the light in a show can change everything. It takes a look on a piece of scenery from being maybe kind of flat to being alive and exciting, and having a human body to stand there in costume colors can make all the difference as a lighting designer is trying to execute a design. So it really is so helpful.
One of our more recent operas was Hansel and Gretel, and that was very fun for us light walkers because you just said it's wild. Just wear wild colors, and boy, did we.
Oh, yeah.
And then when we actually saw the production, which is always a wonderful surprise for us, we saw terrific costume colors and scenery colors, and we could really see the difference that the lighting made on that show. And there was a little hillock that we had to take a nap on.
The sphere was a place where Hansel and Gretel went to sleep, and then it actually, from the basement, pushed up. So they flew at the end of Act 1, and that happened from the basement, that piece of scenery was pushed up. So the perception was that they were going up into the air, and there was fog underneath them, and it was very magical. And you helped to make that happen.
That's the big surprise, is then to see the production. We actually had some movement of the
sphere.
The sphere while we were on it, but we sure didn't go way up or fly.
No, I recall that we did not fly it while you were on it.
And then several scenes, the parents were in a cottage, and for one scene, we each had a gingerbread man, and we got to dance.
Yes, you were playing the children's chorus at that point.
Were there any other performances that were equally memorable, maybe for different reasons?
Absolutely. A few years ago, we did a new production. The director was Darko Trezniak, who has worked on Broadway and with us several times on several shows. And he's a wonderful guy. And we did a performance or a production of Macbeth, which was very, very fun. We had witches that climbed a wall. And, initially when the director was describing to us what was going to happen, he's like, well, I need braids and rats and bugs that the witches can come down the wall with. And I was like, oh, we're in for it now. But it was it was really fun.
Oh, we loved it because we got to stand up on sort of a balcony and be up above and being witches, and we found out those witch costumes shed. Do you remember all the black hairs all over the beach? And
our witches were covered with hair. It was
yeah, and I remember that you actually climbed that wall.
I did.
Walker.
We only ask our light walkers to do the things that we do not perceive to be dangerous. It's supposed to be, it really is so helpful to have people to stand in all the positions, but we never put anyone in a position that makes them uncomfortable or puts anyone in any kind of peril, because we don't enjoy that.
We appreciate that, but we kind of wanted to climb the wall too.
By the way, there's one factor that you've all been hinting at, but that you haven't mentioned yet, and that is how much time this takes. This is not a drop in, drop out L'affaire.
At LA Opera, I really do love all the people that I work with. It's one of the things that keeps me coming back year after year. We have such a great group of people. I've been there for 20 years, and it is really like a family. But sometimes when you're putting together a show, things go wrong. Things aren't where they need to be. Things need to be adjusted, and it can be a long and arduous process. And sometimes we call the Lightwalkers in, and they will sit for a little while and wait while we adjust things and move things around and make sure things are safe and ready to work productively. Because unless the lights are where we need them to be, you can't really focus them on the singers or on the Lightwalkers. So sometimes that just takes time.
When you, our audience, goes to see a production, look at the lighting that's not just on the singers. Look at the set, and you'll see why they have to be prepared for us. The background, the lights from above. While we're being lighted, the set designer is putting objects. There were a lot of pietas for Johnny Skikis. One of our other favorite, more recent operas was Akhenaten.
Oh yeah, that was a really
also called that, didn't you, Lisa?
well, I was working on that one for sure, and it was a lot. There were several levels, lots of balconies, lots of big props. It was Akhenaten, so set in Egypt. So in that one, I remember being gold. We need lots of gold. And our Lightwalkers came in, you know, with very shiny gold and wonderful sweaters and costumes to put over for those scenes. And again, lots of levels, lots of interesting things to do. That show was populated by jugglers. So that was one of my favorite jobs, actually, as a stage manager. I was like the juggler liaison. I've never been a juggler liaison. I felt like my life had come to fruition for this. No, but it was wonderful. And actually, I had the opportunity to bring my son, who at the time was maybe 8 years old, into some juggling rehearsals, which he absolutely adored.
What would be a typical day for you as a light walker? How long a day was typical?
We're usually asked for shifts that are about 4 hours long, and then another 4 hours after lunch if everything's going well. Usually not more than 8 hours, but there have been times when we've gone 12. And we do have a lunch break, and we have a great time talking together during that while the working people decide what's next. We just follow directions.
Okay.
And we're so happy to do it.
And often the Lightwalkers are given direction from the director from the house. So, you know, there will be a microphone out in the house, and the Lightwalkers will be asked to move about the stage and perform some of the blocking in the show by a, you know, probably you can't even see them, Lynn, is that true? But you can hear their voices telling you what to do?
It's just this voice appears out of nowhere, and we are told to go stage right, which is to your right when you're facing the auditorium, stage left, upstage, which is back, downstage, which is forward. And then at the back of the orchestra pit are numbers. And I think they're used for dancers so they can position themselves.
Exactly.
One of the things that I've learned about most volunteers who come in to work for the LA Opera, one of the things they really want to do is just be a part of the opera, whatever the role is. And this one, light walking, sounds like it's really an ideal if you really want to be a part of the opera in the middle of it. We don't sing, we don't dance, but you're in the middle of it.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
We dance a little.
Well,
and when it's not too crazy on stage, the stage managers, we try to say, okay, well, this is who you are being right now. You're being this character, and she's very angry at this moment. So, you know, and so each Lightwalker brings their own style to each job.
We do have style and spirit, but we also have to be extremely quiet. And like Lisa said, things go wrong all the time. And lightwalkers are responsible and respected. When I walk in the back door, the stage artist door, I can feel if everything's going well or not. There's either tension or lightness. And so lightwalkers know when this is happening, we know to be quiet, do our job, and not share what difficulties are going on, because they will be resolved by opening night.
Well, it all
we have-
sounds very demanding, but an awful lot of fun.
You'll have to
Now,
join us sometime, Larry. You'll love it.
I will. So before we say goodbye, I'd like to know if there's anything extra that we haven't talked about, something that you want to make sure got mentioned.
What can the Opera League and what does the Opera League do to help you in the production department?
Just from the point of view that you allow us to better do our jobs, because if we don't have lightwalkers, if we don't have people out there to stand under the lights, then often we have to do it. But if I am standing under the lights, I can't be performing some of my other duties. And that slows the process down. And we never have a lot of time on the stage, as much time as we want to make things absolutely perfect. We're always under a bit of time pressure. So it's so helpful to have people that are available to do this kind of thing so that we can free ourselves up to take care of some of our other jobs. And it makes such a difference to the whole process, especially when you're in a time crunch.
Thank
And
you. Thank you for
we-
saying those things.
We are so happy to do it. We miss you. We miss all your other backstage people. We're looking forward to probably end of August, 1st of September. Maybe we'll be called back. We're called
looking
for
forward
almost
to it too.
every production.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody, for your wonderful conversation. I've really enjoyed it. And I look forward to seeing you all. So as we always say at the end of a talk, we'll see you at the opera.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you very much, Lisa, Lynn. See you next time.